YTBC student. Now, that is the youngest, baddest uploader who has stepped foot and touched buttons on this thing and has made total sense. And I tell you something, I've seen a lot of them come and go. But YTBC student has now graduated into the midst of the masters.
What up, everybody who talks boxing, comments about boxing, and makes boxing videos? Recently, I've been watching some of Maxwell Bear's videos, and he's been talking about, what's the best way for me to put this? How some fans are changing the standards on what makes a fighter successful. And he's absolutely right. There are fans who are trying to change the standards to fit their agenda to make their fighters look like they're better than they actually are, or to bring a fighter that they don't like down. So, for instance, I think the first video I saw where he mentioned this was the Ortiz versus Malik Scott fight. And basically how people were saying Ortiz got exposed and Malik... There was even a couple people who said Malik Scott won that fight, which is just pure ridiculous. But basically, the basis for these statements is, well, his goal was to survive. So therefore, because he achieved his goal, he won the fight. Like I said, this doesn't make any sense. And he also kind of relayed this to the Andre Ward versus Kovalev fight. Now, I'm not complaining. I mean, everybody knows where I stand on that fight. However, there's not any amount of videos I could do to change the decision on that fight. So I'm not complaining, but I am just bringing it up because Maxwell Bear brings up a very good point. And that is, with fans hearing this rhetoric, if through repetition, depending on how weak-minded or strong-minded you are, through repetition, you can begin to believe things that are being said, no matter how untrue they are. So, he was saying, basically how he could see that people thought that Ward won the fight if the criteria for a fighter winning a fight is being changed purely on their own personal goals. And what makes this really ridiculous is because boxing is a sport. That is what it is. And imagine if a team, we're going to talk football because that's the sport that I'm most familiar with aside from boxing. And I'm not even that knowledgeable about football, but I used to keep up with football years ago. So let's say the Browns, Cleveland Browns, go and play the Carolina Panthers. Going into the game, the Browns say, our goal is not to throw any interceptions and to make all our field goals. And let's say they achieved that, but the Panthers still scored more. There is not a single person who is going to say, well, the Browns won that game. They didn't throw any interceptions and they made all their field goals. No, that's not the way that it works. The way that it works is there are rules to a game and a way to win that game. Now, boxing, unlike football, is not a game. You can't play boxing. Boxing is a sport that is more brutal. It's the epitome of being a contact sport. And when two guys go into the ring, a part of themselves is usually left in that ring. Except for Malik Scott. He didn't leave nothing in the ring when he fought Luis Ortiz, because all he did was run. Fans need to start being boxing fans and not fans of their own agendas, parading as boxing fans. And Luis Ortiz went and knocked out Allen. So, I mean, Ortiz definitely did not get exposed. If anything, Malik Scott got exposed again, because it wouldn't have been the first time. Whether you think he took a dive or he legitimately got knocked out by Deontay Wilder, either way, he was exposed. Same thing with this fight. Whether you think he threw the fight by running the whole time, throwing no more than 13 punches around, or he legitimately was scared to the point where all he could do was run, either way, Malik Scott was the one who got exposed. So, but I could see this happening a lot more as time goes by, where fans are trying to say that a certain fighter won just because they achieved their own personal goal. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with having a personal goal. It happens all the time. We'll hear a fighter say, oh, this fight ain't going past 5 rounds because I'm knocking that boy out. We hear that a lot of times. And many times, they don't achieve that goal, but they still win the fight. Their own personal goals don't determine the criteria of who wins that fight. Because let's say the goal of one fighter is to survive and the goal of the other fighter is to win every round. They both achieve their goals. Does that mean it's a draw? No, it doesn't. Because this is a sport with rules. You have your own personal goals, you achieve them. It's going to make you feel even better than if you win the fight and don't achieve those goals. But it does not determine how a fight is going to get scored. So, I think this is a very good boxing topic because it is something that seems to be rearing its head more and more. You know, and it's really just to fit agendas. There's no real reason why this happens other than it's to fit a fight fan's agenda. You know, I personally see it all the time with Keith Thurman detractors. Oh, he didn't knock out Bundu. Well, he still won the fight, so what does it matter? What does it matter? By boxing standards, he still got a W. The only thing that does is just doesn't give him as much momentum in his next fight as he would if he would have knocked him out. So, people just need to stop with the agendas. If you want to say, hey, he did not achieve his personal goal, or at least he achieved his personal goal, fine, whatever. But don't try to tell me that somebody won the fight just because they had their own little personal goal that they achieved, because that's not how any sport works. And boxing shouldn't be any different in that regard. But anyways, these are just my thoughts on this topic. You know, I'm definitely going to be talking a little bit more about boxing topics. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to talk about, current events, whatever's going on. I'm still going to talk about those things. But I have a whole backlog, which is funny because there's been times where I'm like, man, I don't got nothing to talk about. I ain't going to put out a video today. And, I forget that there's these topics that are actually good to talk about in the community. And so I definitely got some more boxing topics coming. I'm also going to be dropping another Don't Be a Cherry Picker in the welterweight division while holding the WBC title. Definitely going to be doing another one of those very soon. But to all my subscribers, anybody watches my videos, or if you just so happen to stumble on this video, hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. Peace.
Y'all watching YouTube videos, man? Gee, thanks. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.
I am so authentic. I'm so authentic. They trying to figure me out, but this is not a gimmick. Hi, hip hop. Don't act like you don't know me. What? We got the same mama. Don't you try to disown me. I'm just a mixed breed. Call me a day walker. Cause I walk in the sun, but at night I'm a stalker. If you looking for blood, come run in my lane. The vein never runs dry. There's plenty of it, man. I speak an ancient language. They don't understand me. It's called the truth. I break it down. They try to reprimand me.